you're joining us through YouTube, we welcome you. We will be starting in about 5 minutes. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the music. And if you're joining us through YouTube, we welcome you to tonight's performance of Lady Windermere's Fan. We will be starting in about 3 minutes. Enjoy the music. Again, if you are joining us through YouTube, we welcome you to tonight's performance reading. We will be starting in a couple of minutes. Welcome to Lumina Studio Theater Group's performance reading of Lady Windermere's Fan, a play about a good woman by Oscar Wilde. We're glad you could join us this evening, the fourth play reading in our four-play summer series. This play is in 4 short acts and will last for an hour and a quarter, including a 5-minute intermission at the end of Act 2. Now sit back, relax, grab your favorite beverage and snack, and enjoy Lady Windermere's Fan.
As the first act opens, we are in the morning room of Lord Windermere's home in Carlton House Terrace, London. It is 5 o'clock in the afternoon, sometime in the 1890s. Lady Windermere is at a table arranging roses in a vase when the butler Parker enters.
Is your ladyship at home this afternoon?
Yes. Who is called?
Lord Darlington, milady.
Show him up. And I'm at home to anyone who calls.
Yes, milady.
It's best for me to see him before tonight. I'm glad he's come.
Lord Darlington.
How do you do, Lady Windermere?
How do you do, Lord Darlington? No, I can't shake hands with you. My hands are all wet with these roses. Aren't they lovely? They came from Selby this morning.
They are quite perfect. And what a wonderful fan! May I look at it?
Oh, do. Pretty, isn't it? It's got my name on it and everything. I've only just seen it myself. It's my husband's birthday present to me. You know, today is my birthday.
No, is it really?
Yes, I'm of age today. Quite an important day in my life, isn't it? That is why I'm giving this party tonight. Do sit down.
I wish I had known it was your birthday, Lady Windermere. I would have covered the whole street in front of your house with flowers for you to walk on. They are made for you.
Lord Darlington, you annoyed me last night at the Foreign Office. I'm afraid you're going to annoy me again.
I, Lady Windermere?
Well, you kept paying me elaborate compliments the whole evening.
Ah, nowadays we are all of us so hard up that the only pleasant things to pay are compliments. They're the only things we can pay.
No, I'm talking very seriously. You mustn't laugh. I'm quite serious. I don't like compliments, and I don't see why a man should think he's pleasing a woman enormously when he says to her a whole heap of things that he doesn't mean.
Ah, but I did mean them.
I hope not. I should be sorry to have to quarrel with you, Lord Darlington. I like you very much, you know that. But I shouldn't like you at all if I thought you were what most other men are. Believe me, you're better than most other men, and I sometimes think you pretend to be worse.
We all have our little vanities, Lady Windermere.
Why do you make that your special one?
Oh, nowadays, so many conceited people go about society pretending to be good, that I think it shows a rather sweet and modest disposition to pretend to be bad. Besides, if you pretend to be good, the world takes you very seriously. If you pretend to be bad, it doesn't.
Don't you want the world to take you seriously then, Lord Darlington?
No, not the world. Who are the people the world takes seriously? All the dull people one can think of, from the bishops down to the bores. I should like you to take me very seriously, Lady Windermere. You, more than anyone else in life.
Why? Why me?
Because I think we might one day be great friends. Let us be great friends. You may want a friend someday.
Why do you say that?
Oh, we all want friends at times.
I think we are very good friends already, Lord Darlington. We can always remain so as long as you don't...
Don't what?
Don't spoil it by saying extravagantly silly things to me. You think I'm a Puritan, I suppose. Well, I have something of the Puritan in me. I was brought up like that. I'm glad of it. My mother died when I was a mere child. My father's elder sister was stern to me, but she taught me that the world is forgetting the difference that there is between what is right and what is wrong. She allowed no compromise. I allow for none.
My dear Lady Windermere.
The men want to know if they are to put the carpets on the terrace for tonight, my lady.
Oh, you don't think it will rain, Lord Darlington, do you?
I won't hear of it raining on your birthday.
Tell them to do it at once, Parker.
Do you think then, of course I'm only putting an imaginary instance, do you think that in the case of a young married couple, say about 2 years married, if the husband suddenly becomes the intimate friend of a woman of, well, more than doubtful character, if he is always calling upon her, lunching with her, and probably paying her bills, do you think that the wife should not console herself?
Because the husband is vile, should the wife be vile also?
Vileness is a terrible word, Lady Windermere.
It is a terrible thing, Lord Darlington.
Do you know, I am afraid that good people do a great deal of harm in the world. Certainly the greatest harm they do is they make badness of such extraordinary importance. It is absurd to divide people into good and bad. People are either charming or tedious. I take the side of the charming, and you, Lady Windermere, can't help belonging to them. And I must say, I think you are very hard on modern life, Lady Windermere. Do you think seriously that women who have committed what the world calls a fault should never be forgiven?
I think they should never be forgiven.
And men? Do you think that there should be the same laws for men as there are for women?
Well, certainly.
I think life too complex a thing to be settled by these hard and fast rules.
If we'd had all these hard and fast rules, we should find life much more simple.
Ah, what a fascinating Puritan you are, Lady Windermere.
The adjective was unnecessary, Lord Darlington.
I couldn't help it. I can resist everything except temptation.
The Duchess of Berwick and Lady Agatha Carlisle.
Dear Margaret, I am so pleased to see you. You remember Agatha, don't you? How do you do, Lord Darlington? I won't let you know my daughter. You are far too wicked.
Don't say that, Duchess. As a wicked man, I am a complete failure. Why, there are lots of people who say I have never really done anything wrong in the whole course of my life. Of course, they only say it behind my back.
Oh, isn't he dreadful? Agatha, this is Lord Darlington. Mind you, don't believe a word he says. Agatha is looking so much forward to your ball tonight, Margaret.
Oh, you mustn't think it is going to be a ball, Duchess. It is only a dance in honor of my birthday, a small and early.
Very small, very early, and very select, Duchess.
Oh, it's going to be select. We know that, dear Margaret, about your house. It is really one of the few houses in London where I can take Agatha, where I can feel perfectly secure about dear Berwick. I don't know what society is coming to. The most dreadful people seem to go everywhere. Someone really ought to make a stand against it.
I will, Duchess. I will have no one in my house about whom there is any scandal.
Oh, don't say that, Lady Windermere. I should never be admitted.
Oh, Lord Darlington, how thoroughly depraved you are.
Lord Darlington is trivial.
Ah, don't say that, Lady Windermere.
Why do you talk so trivially about life, then?
Because I think that life is far too important a thing ever to talk seriously about it.
What does he mean? Do, as a concession to my poor wits, Lord Darlington, just explain to me what you mean.
I think I had better not, Duchess. Nowadays, to be intelligible is to be found out. Goodbye. And now, Lady Windermere, goodbye. I may come tonight, mayn't I? Do let me come.
Yes, certainly. But you are not to say foolish, insincere things to people.
Ah, you are beginning to reform me. It is a dangerous thing to reform anyone, Lady Windermere.
What a charming, wicked creature. I like him so much. I'm quite delighted he is gone. How sweet you're looking. Where do you get your gowns? And now I must tell you how sorry I am for you, dear Margaret. Agatha, darling.
Yes, Mamma.
Will you go and look over at the photograph albums that I see over there?
Yes, Mamma.
Dear girl, she is so fond of photographs of Switzerland. Such a pure taste, I think. But I really am so sorry for you, Margaret.
Why, Duchess?
On the account of that horrid woman. She dresses so well, too, which makes it so much worse. Such a dreadful example. Augustus, you know, my disreputable brother, such a trial to us all. Well, Augustus is completely infatuated about her. It is a scandal, for she is absolutely inadmissible to society. Many a woman has a past, but I am told that she has at least a dozen, and they all fit.
Whom are you talking about, Duchess?
About Mrs. Erlyn.
Mrs. Erlyn? I never heard of a Duchess, and what has she to do with me?
My poor child. Agatha, darling,
Yes, Mama.
will you go out on the terrace and look at that sunset?
Yes, Mama.
So sweet, so devoted to sunsets. Shows such refinement of feeling, does it not? After all, there is nothing like nature, is there?
But what is it, Duchess? Why do you talk to me about this person?
Don't you really know? I assure you we're all so distressed about it. How extraordinary it was that of all men in London, Windermere should behave in such a way.
My husband. What has he got to do with any woman of this kind?
Ah, indeed, what, dear? That is the point. He goes to see her continually and stops for hours at a time. And while he is there, she is not at home to anyone. Not that many ladies call on her, dear, but she has a great many disreputable men friends. My own brother particularly, as I told you. And that is what makes it so dreadful about Windermere. We took it upon him as being such a model husband, and I am afraid there is no doubt about it. My dear nieces, you know the Savile girls, don't you? Plain, dreadfully plain, but good. Well, they're always at the window doing fancy work and making ugly things for the poor. And this terrible woman has taken a house on Curzon Street right opposite them. And they tell me that Windermere goes there 4 and 5 times a week, and they see him. And although they never talk scandal, of course, they remark on it to everyone. And the worst of it all is that I have been told that this woman has got a great deal of money out of someone. For it seems that she came to London 6 months ago without anything at all to speak of, and now she has this charming house in Mayfield, drives her ponies in the park every afternoon, and all since she has known poor, dear Windermere.
No, I can't believe it.
Oh, but it's quite true, my dear. The whole of London knows it. That is why I felt it was better to come and talk to you and advise you to take Windermere away at once.
Duchess, it's impossible. We're only married 2 years. Our child is but 6 months old. Windermere and I married for love. I can't believe that my husband is untrue to me.
Pretty child. I was like that once. Now I know that all men are monsters. My dear Margaret, you are not going to cry.
You needn't be afraid, Duchess. I never cry.
That's quite right, dear. Crying is the refuge of plain women, but the ruin of pretty ones. Agatha, darling.
Yes, Mama.
Goodbye to Lady Windermere and thank her for your charming visit. And by the way, I must thank you for sending a card to Mr. Hopper. He's that rich young Australian people are taking such notice of just at present. His father made a great fortune by selling some kind of food in circular tins, most palatable, I believe. I fancy it is a thing servants always refuse to eat. But the son is quite interesting. I think he's attracted by dear Agatha's clever talk. Of course, I would be very sorry to lose her, but I think that a mother who does not part with her daughter every season has no real affection. Come, Agatha.
It can't be true. She spoke of some enormous sums of money paid to this woman. I know where Arthur keeps his bankbook. In this drawer on his desk, I might find out that. No, it's some hideous mistake. But why should I not look? I am his wife. I have a right to look. I knew it. There's not a word of truth in this stupid story. Another bank book. It's locked. Private. Mrs. Erlyn, £600. Mrs. Erlyn, £700. Mrs. Erlyn, £400. Oh, it's true. It's true. Oh, how horrible.
Well, dear, has the fan been sent home yet? Margaret, you have cut open my bank book. You have no right to do such a thing.
You think it wrong of me that you have found out, don't you?
I think it wrong that a wife should spy on her husband.
I did not spy on you. I never knew of this infamous woman's existence until half an hour ago.
Margaret, don't talk like that of Mrs. Erlin. You don't know how unjust it is.
You are very jealous of Mrs. Erlin's honor. I wish you had been as jealous of mine.
Your honor is untouched, Margaret. You don't think for a moment.
I think that you spend your money strangely, that is all. Oh, don't imagine I mind about the money. As far as I'm concerned, you may squander everything we have. But what I do mind is that you who have loved me, you who have taught me to love you, should pass from the love that is given to the one that is bought.
Don't say that, Margaret. I never loved anyone in the whole world but you.
Who is this woman then? Why do you take a house for her?
I did not take a house for her.
You gave her the money. It's to do it, which is the same thing.
Margaret, as far as I have known Mrs. Erlin...
Is there a Mr. Erlin? Or is he a myth?
Her husband died many years ago. She is alone in the world.
No relations?
None.
Rather curious, isn't it?
Margaret, I beg you to listen to me. That as far as I have known Mrs. Erlin, she has conducted herself well. If years ago...
I don't want to hear details about her life.
I am not going to give you any details about her life. I tell you simply this. Mrs. Erlin was once honored, loved, and respected. She was well-born. She had position. She lost everything, threw it away, if you like. That makes it all the more bitter. It was 20 years ago, too. She was little more than a girl then. She had been a wife for even less time than you have.
I'm not interested in her, and you should not mention this woman and me in the same breath. It is an error of taste.
Margaret, you could save this woman. She wants to get back into society, and she wants you to help her.
Me?
Yes, you.
How impertinent of her.
Margaret, I came to ask you a great favor, and I still ask it of you. I want you to send her an invitation to our party tonight.
You are mad. As a triumph for her, I suppose.
No, but because she knows that you are a good woman, and that if she comes here once, she will have a good chance of a happier, a surer life than she has had. She will make no further effort to know you. Won't you help a woman who is trying to get back?
No. If a woman really repents, she never wishes to return to the society that has made her or seen her ruin.
You refuse?
Absolutely.
Oh, Margaret, do this for my sake. It is her last chance.
Has that to do with me?
Oh, how hard good women are.
How weak, bad men are.
Margaret, none of us men may be good enough for the women we marry. This is quite true, but you don't imagine I would ever... Oh, the suggestion is monstrous.
Well, why should you be different from other men? I am told that there is hardly a husband in London who does not waste his life over some shameful passion.
I am not one of them.
Well, I'm not sure of that.
You are sure in your heart. But don't make chasm after chasm between us. God knows the last few minutes have thrust us wide enough apart. Sit down and write the card.
Nothing in the whole world would induce me.
Then I will.
You are going to invite this woman?
Yes. Parker.
Yes, my lord.
Have this note sent to Mrs. Erlin at number 84A Curson Street. There is no answer.
Arthur, if that woman comes here, I shall insult her.
Margaret, don't say that.
I mean it. You gave me this fan today. It was your birthday present. If that woman crosses my threshold, I shall strike her across the face with it.
Margaret, you couldn't do such a thing.
You don't know me. Parker.
Yes, milady.
I shall dine in my own room. I don't want dinner, in fact. See that everything is ready by 10:30. And Parker, be sure you pronounce the names of the guests very distinctly tonight. Sometimes you speak so fast that I miss them. I am particularly anxious to hear the names quite clearly, so as to make no mistake. You understand, Parker?
Yes, milady.
That will do.
Margaret, you'll ruin us.
Us. From this moment, my life is separate from yours. But if you wish to avoid a public scandal, write at once to this woman and tell her that I forbid her to come here.
I will not. I cannot. She must come.
Then I shall do exactly as if I had said. You leave me no choice.
Margaret! Margaret!
That evening, Parker announces the guests to Lady Windermere's birthday ball.
The Duchess of Berwick and Lady Agatha Carlisle.
So strange Lord Windermere isn't here. Mr. Hopper is very late too. Have you kept those fine dances for him, Agatha?
Yes, Mamma.
Just let me see your card. I'm so glad Lady Windermere has revived cards. They're a mother's only safeguard. You dear, simple little thing. No nice girl ever waltzes with such particularly younger sons. It looks so fast. The last two dances you might pass on the terrace with Mr. Hopper.
Yes, Mamma.
Ah, Lady Plingsdale. Mr. Dombey.
Good evening, Duchess.
Mrs. Cooper, Lady Stutfield.
Good evening, Lady Stutfield. I suppose this will be the last ball of the season.
I suppose so, Mr. Dumby. It's been a delightful season, hasn't it?
Quite delightful. Good evening, Duchess. I suppose this will be the last ball of the season.
I suppose so, Mr. Dombey. It has been a very dull season, hasn't it?
Oh, dreadfully dull, dreadfully dull.
Good evening, Mr. Dumby. I suppose this will be the last ball of the season.
Oh, I think not. There'll probably be two more.
Mr. Rufford, Lady Jedburgh and Miss Graham. Mr. Hopper.
How do you do, Lady Windermere? How do you do, Duchess? Lady Agatha.
Dear Mr. Hopper, how nice of you to come so early. We all know how you are run after in London.
Capital Place, London. They're not nearly so exclusive in London as they are in Sydney.
Oh, we all know your value, Mr. Hopper. We wish there were more like you. It would make life so much easier. Do you know, Mr. Hopper, dear Agatha and I are so much interested in Australia. It must be so pretty with all the dear little kangaroos flying about. Agatha has found it on the map. What a curious shape it is, just like a large packing case. However, it is a very young country, isn't it?
Wasn't it made at the same time as the others, Duchess?
Oh, how clever you are, Mr. Hopper. You have a cleverness quite your own. Now I must keep you.
But I should like to dance with Lady Agatha, Duchess.
Well, I hope she has a dance left. Have you a dance left, Agatha?
Yes, Mamma.
Next one.
Yes, Mamma.
May I have the pleasure?
Mind you take great care of my little chatterbox, Mr. Hopper.
Margaret, I want to speak to you.
A moment.
Lord Augustus Lawton.
Good evening, Lady Windermere. Windermere, I want to speak to you particularly, dear boy. I'm worn to a shadow. I know I don't look it. None of us men do look what we really are. Damn good thing, too. What I want to know is, who is she? Where does she come from? Why hasn't she got any damn relations? Damn nuisance relations, but they make one so damn respectable.
You're talking of Mrs. Erlin, I suppose. I only met her 6 months ago. Till then, I never knew of her existence.
You've seen a good deal of her since then.
Yes, I have seen a good deal of her since then. I have just seen her.
Gad, the women are very down on her. I've been dining with Arabella this evening. By Jove, you should have heard what she said about Mrs. Erlin. She didn't leave a rag on her. Berwick and I told her that didn't matter much, as the lady in question must have an extremely fine figure. You should have seen Arabella's expression. But look here, dear boy. I don't know what to do about Mrs. Erlin. Dad, I might be married to her. She treats me with such damned indifference. But do you think she'd ever get into this damned thing called society? Would you introduce her to your wife? No good beating about the confounded bush. Would you do that?
Mrs. Erlin is coming here tonight.
Your wife has sent for a card?
Mrs. Erlin has received a card.
She's all right, old dear boy. Why didn't you tell me that before? It would have saved me a heap of worry and damned misunderstandings.
Mr. Cecil Graham.
Good evening, Arthur. Why don't you ask me how I am? I like people to ask me how I am. It shows a widespread interest in my health. Now, tonight, I am not at all well. Been dining with my people. Wonder why one's people are always so tedious. Ah, Tuppy, here you're going to be married again. Thought you were tired of that game.
You're excessively trivial, my dear boy. Excessively trivial.
By the way, Tuppy, which is it? Have you been twice married and once divorced, or twice divorced and once married? I say you've been twice divorced and once married. It seems so much more probable.
I have a bad memory. I really don't remember which.
Margaret, I must speak to you.
Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Bowden, Lord and Lady Paisley, Lord Darlington.
Hold my fan, Darlington, please. Thanks.
Margaret, what you said before dinner was, of course, impossible.
That woman is not coming here tonight.
Mrs. Erlin is coming here, and if you in any way annoy her or wound her, you will bring shame and sorrow on us both. Remember that. Margaret, only trust me. A wife should trust her husband.
London is full of women who trust their husbands. One can always recognize them. They look so thoroughly unhappy. I'm not going to be one of them. Lord Darlington, will you give me my fan back, please? Thanks. A useful thing, a fan, isn't it? I want a friend tonight, Lord Darlington. I didn't know I'd want one so soon.
Lady Windermere, I knew the time would come someday, but why tonight?
I will tell her. I must. It would be terrible if there were any scene. Margaret!
Mrs. Erlin.
You have dropped your fan, Lady Windermere.
How do you do, Lord Windermere? How charming your sweet wife looks. Quite a picture.
It was terribly rash of you to come.
The wisest thing I ever did in my life. And by the way, you must pay me a good deal of attention this evening. I'm afraid of the women. You must introduce me to some of them. The men I can always manage. How do you do, Lord Augustus? You have quite neglected me of late. I have not seen you since yesterday. I'm afraid you're faithless. Everybody told me so.
Now, really, Mrs. Erlin, allow me to explain.
No, dear Lord Augustus, you can't explain anything. Your chief charm.
Ah, if you find charms in me, Mrs. Erlin.
How pale you are.
Cowards are always pale.
You look faint. Come out on the terrace.
Lady Windermere, how beautifully your terrace is illuminated. Reminds me of Prince Doria's at Rome. Oh, how do you do, Mr. Graham? Isn't that your aunt, Lady Jedburgh? I should so much like to know her.
Of course, if you wish it. Aunt Caroline, allow me to introduce Mrs. Erlin.
So pleased to meet you, Lady Jedburgh. Your nephew and I are great friends. I am so much interested in his political career. I think he's sure to be a wonderful success. He's such a brilliant talker, too. But we all know from whom he inherits that. Lord Allendale was saying to me only yesterday in the park that Mr. Graham talks almost as well as his aunt.
Most kind of you to say these charming things to me.
Cecil, did you introduce Mrs. Erlin to Lady Jedburgh?
Had to, my dear fellow. Couldn't help it. That woman can make one do anything she wants. How, I don't know.
Hope to goodness she doesn't speak to me.
On Thursday, Lady Jedburgh. With great pleasure.
Who is that well-dressed woman talking to Windermere?
Haven't got the slightest idea. Looks like an edition de luxe of a wicked French novel, meant specially for the English market.
So, Windermere, that is poor Dumby with Lady Blimdale. I hear she's frightfully jealous of him. He doesn't seem anxious to speak to me tonight. You know, I'll dance with you first. It will make Lord Augustus so jealous. Lord Augustus! Lord Windermere insists on my dancing with him first, and as it's his own house, I can't well refuse. You know I would much rather be dancing with you.
I wish I could think so, Mrs. Erlin.
You know it far too well. I could fancy a person dancing through life with you and finding it charming.
Thank you. Thank you. You are the most adorable of all ladies.
What a nice speech. Oh, so simple and so sincere. Just the sort of speech I like. Oh, Mr. Dumby, how are you? I am so sorry I have been out the last 3 times you have called. Come and lunch on Friday.
Delighted.
An absolute brute you are, Dumby. I can never believe a word you say. Why did you tell me you didn't know her? What do you mean by calling on her 3 times running? You are not to go to lunch there. Of course you understand that.
My dear Laura, I wouldn't dream of going.
You haven't told me her name yet. Who is she?
She's a Mrs. Erlin.
That woman.
Yes, that is what everyone calls her.
How intensely interesting. I must really have a good stare at her. I've heard the most shocking things about her. They say she is ruining poor Windermere, and Lady Windermere, who goes in for being so proper, invites her. How extremely amusing. It takes a thoroughly good woman to do a thoroughly stupid thing. You are to lunch there on Friday.
Why?
Because I want you to take my husband with you. He has been so attentive lately that he's become a perfect nuisance.
What a mystery you are.
I wish you were.
I am, to myself. I'm the only person I should like to know thoroughly, but I don't see any chance of it just at present.
Yes, Lord Darlington. Her coming here is monstrous, unbearable. I know what you meant the other day at tea time. Why didn't you tell me right out? You should have.
I couldn't. A man can't tell these things about another man. But if I had known he was going to make you ask her here tonight, I think I would have told you. That insult, at any rate, you would have been spared.
I did not ask her. He insisted on her coming, against my entreaties, against my commands. What have I done to deserve this? I gave him all my life. He took it, used it, spoiled it. I am degraded in my own eyes, and I lack courage. I am a coward.
If I know you at all, I know that you can't live with a man who treats you like this. What sort of a life would you have with him? You would feel that he was lying to you every moment of the day. You would feel that the look in his eyes was false, his voice false, his touch false, his passion false.
You are right. You are terribly right, but where am I to turn? You said you would be my friend, Lord Darlington. Tell me, what am I to do? Be my friend now.
Between men and women, there is no friendship possible. There is passion, enmity, worship, love, but no friendship. I love you.
No, no.
Yes, I love you. You are more to me than anything in the whole world. What does your husband give you? Nothing. Whatever is in him, he gives to this wretched woman whom he has thrust into your society, into your home, to shame you before everyone. I offer you my life.
Lord Darlington.
My life, my whole life. Take it and do with it what you will. From the moment I met you, I loved you. You did not know it then, you know it now. Leave this house tonight. I won't tell you that the world matters nothing, or the world's voice, or the voice of society. They matter a great deal. They matter far too much. But there are moments when one has to choose between living one's own life fully, completely, or dragging out some false, shallow, degrading existence the world and its hypocrisy demands. You have that moment now. Choose. Oh, my love, choose.
I have not the courage.
Yes, you have the courage. There may be 6 months of pain, of disgrace even, but when you no longer bear his name, when you bear mine, all will be well. Margaret, my love, my wife that shall someday be, yes, my wife. You know it. What are you now? This woman has the place that right belongs to you. Oh, go out of this house. All London will know why you did it. And who will blame you? No one. If they do, what matter? You said once you would make no compromise with things. Make none now. Be brave. Be yourself.
I'm afraid of being myself. Let me think. Let me wait. My husband may return to me.
And you would take him back. You are not what I thought you were. You are just the same as every other woman. You would stand anything rather than face the censure of a world whose praise you would despise. You are right. You have no courage. None.
Oh, give me time to think. I cannot answer you now.
It must be now or not at all.
Then not at all.
You break my heart.
Mine is already broken.
Tomorrow I leave England. This is the last time I shall ever look on you. You will never see me again. For one moment our lives met, our souls touched. They must never meet or touch again. Goodbye, Margaret.
Dear Margaret, I've just been having such a delightful chat with Mrs. Erlyn. I am so sorry for what I said to you this afternoon about her. Of course, she must be all right if you invite her. A most attractive woman and has such sensitive views on life. She told me she entirely disapproved of people marrying more than once. So I feel quite safe about poor Augustus. Can't imagine why people speak against her. It's those horrid nieces of mine, the Savile girls. They're always talking scandal. But where is Agatha? Oh, there she is. Mr. Hopper, I am very, very angry with you. You have taken Agatha out on the terrace, and she is so delicate.
Awfully sorry, Duchess. We went out for a moment, then got chatting together.
Oh, about dear Australia, I suppose.
Yes.
Agatha, darling?
Yes, Mamma.
Did Mr. Hopper definitely?
Yes, Mamma.
And what answer did you give him, dear child?
Yes, Mamma.
Oh, my dear one, you always say the right thing. Mr. Hopper, James, Agatha has told me everything. How cleverly you have kept your secret.
You don't mind my taking Agatha off to Australia then, Duchess?
To Australia? Don't mention that dreadful, vulgar place.
But she said she'd like to come with me.
Did you say that, Agatha?
Yes, Mamma.
Agatha, you say the most silly things possible. I think on the whole, Grosvenor Square would be a more healthy place to reside in. There are a lot of vulgar people live in Grosvenor Square, but at any rate, there are no horrid kangaroos crawling about. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Good night now, dear Margaret. I am afraid it is the old, old story, dear. Love. Well, not love at first sight, but love at the end of the season, which is so much more satisfactory.
Good night, Duchess.
My dear Margaret, what a handsome woman your husband has been dancing with. I should be quite jealous if I were you. Is she a great friend of yours?
No.
Really? Oh, good night, dear.
A sensible woman, Lady Windermere. Lots of wives would have objected to Mrs. Erlyn coming, but Lady Windermere has that uncommon thing called common sense.
And Windermere knows that nothing looks so like innocence as indiscretion.
Yes, dear Windermere is becoming almost modern. Never thought he would.
Good night, Lady Windermere. What a fascinating woman is. She's coming to lunch on Thursday. Won't you come too? I expect the bishop and dear Lady Matten.
Oh, I'm afraid I'm engaged, Lady Jedburgh.
Oh, so sorry. Good night, Lady Windermere.
Charming ball it has been. Quite reminds me of the old days, and I see there are just as many fools in society as there used to be. So pleased to find that nothing has altered. The dear Duchess and that sweet Lady Agatha. Just the type of girl I like. Well, really, Windermere, if I am going to be the Duchess's sister-in-law...
Are you?
Oh, yes, he's to call tomorrow at 12 o'clock. He wanted to propose tonight. In fact, he did. He kept on proposing. Poor Augustus, you know how he repeats himself. Such a bad habit. But I told him I wouldn't give him an answer till tomorrow. Of course, I'm going to accept him. And I dare say I shall make him an admirable wife, as wives go. And there is a great deal of good in Lord Augustus. Fortunately, it is all on the surface, just where good qualities ought to be. Of course, you must help me in this matter.
I'm not called on to encourage Lord Augustus, I suppose.
Oh no, I do the encouraging. But you will make me a handsome settlement, Windermere, won't you?
Is that what you want to talk to me about tonight?
Yes.
Won't tomorrow do as well?
No, you see, tomorrow I'm going to accept him. And I think it would be a good thing if I was able to tell him that, well, I had, well, shall we say, £2,000 a year left me by a third cousin or a second husband or a distant relative of that kind. It would be an additional attraction, wouldn't it? You have a delightful opportunity now of paying me a compliment, Windermere. But you are not very clever at paying compliments. I'm afraid Margaret doesn't encourage you in that excellent habit. It's a great mistake on her part. When a man gives up saying what is charming, he gives up thinking what is charming. But seriously, what do you say to £2,000? 2,500, I think. In modern life, margin is everything. Windermere, don't you find the world an intensely amusing place? I do.
To stay in this house any longer is impossible. Tonight, a man who loves me offered me his whole life. I refused it. It was foolish of me. I will offer him mine now. I will give him mine. I will go to him.
Is Lady Windermere in the ballroom?
Her ladyship has just gone out.
Gone out? She's not on the terrace.
No, madam. Her ladyship has just gone out of the house.
Out of the house?
Yes, madam. Her ladyship told me she had left a letter for his lordship on the table.
A letter for Lord Windermere?
Yes, madam.
Thank you. No. No, it would be impossible. Life doesn't repeat its tragedies like that. Oh, how terrible. The same words I wrote 20 years ago to her father, and how bitterly I've been punished for it. No, my punishment, my real punishment is tonight, is now.
Have you said good night to my wife?
Yes.
Where is she?
She's very tired. She's gone to bed. She said she had a headache.
I must go to her. You'll excuse me.
Oh, no, it's nothing serious. She's only very tired, that's all. Besides, there are people still in the supper room. She wants you to make her apologies to them. She said she didn't wish to be disturbed. She asked me to tell you.
You'll drop something.
Yes, thank you. That is mine.
But it's my wife's handwriting.
Yes, it's an address. Will you ask them to call my carriage, please?
Certainly.
Thanks.
Dear lady, I am in such suspense. May I not have an answer to my request?
Lord Augustus, listen to me. You are to take Lord Windermere to your club at once and to keep him there as long as possible. Do you understand?
But you said you wish me to keep early hours.
Do what I tell you. Do what I tell you.
And my reward?
Oh, your reward? Ask me that tomorrow. But don't let Windermere out of your sight. If you do, I will never speak to you again. I shall never see you. I'll have nothing to do with you. Remember, take Lord Windermere to your club and don't let him come back tonight.
Well, really? I might be her husband already. Positively, I might.
There will now be an intermission of 5 minutes. Act 3 takes place in Lord Darlington's rooms, where Lady Windermere waits anxiously for his arrival.
Why doesn't he come? This waiting is horrible. Why is he not here to wake by passionate words some fire within me? I am cold, cold as a loveless thing. Arthur must have read my letter by this time. If he cared for me, he would have come after me. But he doesn't care. He's entrammelled by this woman, fascinated with her, dominated by her. How hideous life is. Oh, it was mad for me to come here. Oh, to the mercy of a man who loves me, one, or the wife of a man who, in one's own house, dishonors one. I must go back. Oh, I can't go back. My letter has been put me in his power. Arthur would not take me back. Oh, that fatal letter. No, Lord Darlington leaves England tomorrow. I will go with him. I have no choice. Oh, no. I will go back. I can't wait here. It has been madness, my coming. I must go at once. As for Lord Darlington, oh, there he is.
Lady Windermere, thank heaven I am in time. You must go back to your husband's house immediately.
Must?
Yes, you must. There is not a second to be lost. Lord Darlington may return at any moment.
Oh, don't come near me.
What are you doing?
Mrs. Erline, if you had not come here, I would have gone back. But now I see you. I feel that nothing in the whole world would induce me to live under the same roof as Lord Windermere. You fill me with horror. There is something about you that stirs the wildest rage within me. And I know why you are here. My husband sent you to lure me back, and I might serve as blind to whatever relations exist between you and him.
Don't think that. You can't.
I suppose he is afraid of scandal. Men are such cowards. They outrage every law of the world and are afraid of the world's tongue. But he had better prepare himself. He shall have scandal.
No.
Yes, he shall. Had he come himself, I admit I would have gone back to the life of degradation you and he had prepared for me. I was going back, but to stay himself at home and to send you as his messenger. Oh, it was infamous, infamous.
Lady Windermere, you wrong me terribly. You wrong your husband terribly. He doesn't know you are here. He thinks you are asleep in your own room. He never read the mad letter you wrote to him.
Never read it?
Never. No, he knows nothing about it.
Oh, how simple you think me. You are lying to me.
No, I am not. I am telling you the truth.
If my husband didn't read my letter, how is it that you are here? Who told you I had left the house? You are shameless enough to enter.
I saw it. I opened it. I read it.
You opened the letter of mine to my husband. You wouldn't dare.
Dare? Oh, to save you from the abyss into which you are falling, there is nothing in the world I would not dare. Here is the letter. Your husband has never seen it. He shall never read it. It should never have been written. It belongs in the fire.
How do I know that is my letter after all? You seem to think the commonest device can take me in.
What object do you think I have in coming here except to save you from utter ruin, to save you from the consequence of a hideous mistake?
I cannot trust you. You, whose whole life is a lie. Could you speak of the truth about anything?
Think of me as you like. Say what you choose against me, but go back. Go back to the husband you love.
I do not love him.
Yes, you do, and you know that he loves you.
He does not understand what love is. He understands it as little as you do, but I see what you see what you want. It would be a great advantage for you to get me back. Dear heaven, what a life I would have then. Living at the mercy of a woman who has neither mercy nor pity in her. A woman who is in infamy to meet, a degradation to know, a vile woman. A woman who who comes between husband and wife.
Lady Windermere, don't say such terrible things. You don't know how terrible they are, how unjust. Listen, you must listen. Only go back to your husband, and I promise you never to communicate with him again on any pretext. Never to see him, never to have anything to do with his life or yours. The money that he gave me not through love, but through hatred. Not in worship, but in contempt. The hold I have over him.
Ah, you admit you have a hold.
Yes, and I will tell you what it is. It is his love for you, Lady Windermere.
You expect me to believe that?
You must believe it. It is the truth. It is his love for you that has made him submit to, oh, call it what you like, tyranny, threats, anything you choose, but it is his love for you. His desire to spare you shame, yes, shame and disgrace.
What do you mean? You are insolent. What have I to do with you?
Nothing, I know it. But I tell you that your husband loves you, that you may never meet with such love again in your whole life, that such love you shall never meet again. And if you throw it away, the day will come when you will starve for love and it will be denied you, beg for love, and it will not be given to you.
You talk as if you had a heart. Women like you have no hearts. Heart is not in you. You are bought and sold.
Believe what you choose about me. I am not worth a moment's sorrow. But don't spoil your beautiful young life on my account. You don't know what may be in store for you unless you leave this house at once. You don't know what it is to fall into the pit, to be despised, mocked, abandoned, sneered at, to be an outcast, to find the door shut against one, to have to creep in at hideous byways, afraid every moment lest the mask be stripped from one's face, and all the while to hear the laughter, the horrible laughter of the world, a thing more tragic than all the tears the world has ever shed. You don't know what it is. One pays for one's sins, and one pays again, and all one's life one pays. You must never know that. But let that pass. I may have wrecked my own life. I will not let you wreck yours. You're a mere girl. You would be lost. You couldn't stand dishonor. Go back, Lady Windermere, to the husband who loves you, whom you love. You have a child, Lady Windermere. Go back to that child who even now, in pain or in joy, may be calling to you. Back to your house, Lady Windermere. Your husband loves you. Oh, Lady Windermere.
Take me home. Take me home.
Come, where is your cloak? Here, put it on. Come at once.
Come to my place.
Yes, I agree.
Don't you hear voices?
No, there was no one.
Yes, there is. Listen. Oh, that's my husband's voice. He's come in. Save me. Oh, it's some plot. You have sent for him.
Collins, I'm here to save you if I can. I fear it is too late. The curtain. The first chance you have, slip out, if ever you get a chance.
But you.
Don't mind me. I'll face them.
Nonsense, dear Windermere. You must leave me.
Lord Augustus, then it is I who am lost.
What a nuisance they're turning us out of the club at this hour. It's only 2 o'clock. The lively part of the evening is only just beginning.
It is very good of you, Lord Darlington, allowing Augustus to force our company on you, but I'm afraid I can't stay long.
Really, I am so sorry. You'll take a cigar, won't you?
Thanks.
My dear boy, you must not dream of going. I have a great deal to talk to you about, of damned importance, too.
We all know what that is. Tubby can't talk about anything but Miss Erlyn.
Well, that's no business of yours, is it, Cecil?
None. That's why it interests me. My own business always bores me to death. I prefer other people's.
Have something to drink, you fellows. Cecil, how about whiskey and soda?
Thanks. Mrs. Erlyn looked very handsome tonight, didn't she?
I am not one of her admirers.
I usedn't to be, but I am now. Why, she actually made me introduce her to poor dear Aunt Caroline. I believe she's going to lunch there.
No.
She is, really.
Excuse me, you fellows. I'm going away tomorrow, and I have to write a few letters.
Clever woman, Mrs. Erlyn.
Hello, Dumby. I thought you were asleep.
I am. I usually am.
A very clever woman. Knows perfectly well what a damn fool I am. Knows it as well as I do myself. You may laugh, my boy, but it's a great thing to come across a woman who thoroughly understands one.
It's an awfully dangerous thing. They always end up by marrying one.
But I thought, Tuppy, that you were never going to see her again. Yes, you told me so yesterday evening at the club. You
She's
said
explained
you
all that.
heard.
She's explained that too.
And the Wiesbaden affair?
Oh, yes, she's explained that.
And her income, Tuppy, has she explained that?
She's going to explain that tomorrow. Mrs. Erlin has a future before her.
Mrs. Erlin has a past before her.
I prefer women with a past. They're always so damned amusing to talk to.
Well, you'll have lots of topics of conversation with her, Tuppy.
You're getting annoying, dear boy. You're getting damned annoying.
Now, Tuppy, you've lost your figure and you've lost your character. Don't lose your temper. You've only got one.
Dumby, you're ridiculous, and Cecil, you let your tongue run away with you. You must leave Mrs. Erlin alone. You don't really know anything about her.
I say, let us have some cards. You'll play, Arthur, won't you?
No, thanks, Cecil.
Good heavens, how marriage ruins a man. It's as demoralizing as cigarettes and far more expensive.
You'll play, of course, Tuppy.
Can't, dear boy. Promise Mrs. Erlin never to play or drink again.
My dear Tuppy, don't be led astray into the paths of virtue. Reformed, you would be perfectly tedious. That is the worst of women. They always want one to be good. And if we are good when they meet us, they don't love us at all. They like to find us quite irretrievably bad and to leave us quite unattractively good.
They always do find us bad.
I don't think we're bad. I think we're all good, except Tuppy.
No, we are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars.
Ooh, upon my word, you are very romantic tonight, Darlington.
Too romantic. You must be in love. Who's the girl?
The woman I love is not free, or thinks she isn't.
A married woman, then? Well, there's nothing in the world like the devotion of a married woman. It's a thing no married man knows anything about.
Oh, she doesn't love me. She is a good woman. She is the only good woman I have ever met in my life.
You are a lucky fellow. Why, I have met hundreds of good women. I never seem to meet any but good women.
This woman has purity and innocence. She has everything we men have lost.
My dear fellow, what on earth should we men do going about with purity and innocence?
She doesn't really love you, then?
No, she does not.
Then I congratulate you, my dear fellow. In this world, there are only two tragedies. One is not getting what one wants, and the other is getting it. The last is much the worst. The last is the real tragedy. But I'm interested to hear that she does not love you. How long could you love a woman who didn't love you, Cecil?
A woman who didn't love me? Oh, all my life.
So could I, but it's so difficult to meet one.
How can you be so conceited, Dumby?
I didn't say it as a matter of conceit. I said it as a matter of regret. I've been wildly, madly adored. I'm sorry, I have. It's been an immense nuisance. I should like to be allowed a little time to myself now and then.
What cynics you fellows are.
What is a cynic?
A man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Of course. You are quite faithful to this woman you're in love with, Darlington. This good woman.
Cecil, if one really loves a woman, all other women in the world become absolutely meaningless to one. Love changes one. I am changed.
Timmy, how very interesting. Tuppy, I want to talk to you.
It's no use talking to Tuppy. You might just as well talk to a brick wall.
I like talking to a brick wall. It's the only thing in the world that never contradicts me. Tuppy!
Well, what is it? What is it?
Come over here. I want you particularly. Darlington has been moralizing and talking about the purity of love and that sort of thing. And he has got some woman in his rooms all the time.
No, really?
This is her fan.
By Jove, by Jove.
I'm really off now, Lord Darlington. I am sorry you are leaving England so soon. Pray call on us when you come back. My wife and I will be charmed to see you.
I am afraid I shall be away for many years. Good night.
Arthur!
What?
I want to speak to you for a moment. No, do come.
I can't, I'm off.
It is something very particular. It will interest you enormously.
It is some of your nonsense, Cecil.
It isn't. It isn't really.
My dear fellow, you mustn't go yet. Cecil has something to show you.
Well, what is it?
Darlington has got a woman here in his rooms. Here is her fan. Amusing, isn't it?
Good God.
What is the matter?
Lord Darlington,
Yes.
What is my wife's fan doing here in your rooms?
Your wife's fan?
Yes, here it is.
I don't know.
You must know. I demand an explanation. By God, I'll search your rooms, and if my wife's here, I'll...
You shall not search my rooms. You have no right to do so. I forbid you.
You scoundrel. I'll not leave your rooms till I have searched every corner of it. What moves behind that curtain?
Lord Windermere.
Mrs. Erlin.
I'm afraid I took your wife's fan in mistake for my own when I was leaving your house tonight. I'm so sorry.
The following morning finds Lady Windermere sitting anxiously at home.
How can I tell him? I can't tell him. I can't tell him, it would kill me. I wonder what happened after I escaped from that horrible room. Oh, perhaps she told them the true reason of her being there and the real meaning of that fatal fan of mine. Oh, if he knows, how can I look at him in the face again? It would never forgive me.
Did your ladyship ring for me?
Yes. Have you found out what time Lord Windermere came in last night?
His lordship did not come in till 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? He knocked on my door this morning, didn't he?
Yes, my lady, at 9:30. I told him your ladyship was not awake yet.
Did he say anything?
Something about your ladyship's fan? I didn't quite catch what his lordship said. Has the fan been lost, my lady? I can't find it, and Parker says it was not left in any of the rooms. He's looked in all of them and on the terrace as well.
No, it doesn't matter. Tell Parker it's not a trouble. That will do. Oh, she is sure to tell him. I can fancy a person doing a wonderful act of self-sacrifice, doing it spontaneously, recklessly, nobly, and afterwards finding out that it cost too much. Why should she hesitate between her ruin and mine? There's a bitter irony in things, a bitter irony in the way we talk about good and bad women.
Margaret, how pale you look.
I slept very badly.
I'm so sorry. I came in dreadfully late and didn't like to wake you. You're crying, dear.
Yes, I'm crying, for I have something to tell you, Arthur.
My dear child, you are not well. You've been doing too much. Let us go away to the country. Oh, poor darling. We'll go away today, if you like. We can easily catch the 3:40.
Yes, let's go away today. No, I can't go today. Arthur, there is something I must tell you. There's someone I must see before I leave town. Someone who has been kind to me.
Kind to you?
Far more than that. I will tell you, Arthur, but only love me. Love me as you used to love me.
Used to? You were thinking of that wretched woman who came last night. You don't still imagine... No, you couldn't.
I don't. I know I was wrong and foolish.
It was very good of you to receive her last night, but you are never to be near her again.
Why do you say that?
Margaret, I thought Mrs. Erlin was a woman more sinned against than sinning, as the phrase goes. I believed what she told me. I was mistaken in her. She is bad as a woman can be.
Arthur, don't talk so bitterly about any woman. I don't think now that people can be divided into the good and the bad as though they were two separate races or creations. What are called good women may have terrible things in them. Mad moods of recklessness, assertion, jealousy, sin. Bad women, as they are termed, may have in them sorrow, repentance, pity, and sacrifice.
My dear child, the woman's impossible. No matter what harm she tries to do to us, you must never see her again.
But I want to see her. I want her to come here.
Margaret, if you knew where Mrs. Erlyn went last night after she left this house, you would not sit in the same room with her. It was absolutely shameless, the whole thing.
Arthur, I can't bear it any longer. I must tell you, last night...
Mrs. Erlyn has called to return your ladyship's fan, which she took away by mistake last night. Mrs. Erlyn has written a message on the card.
Oh, ask Mrs. Erlyn to be kind enough to come up. Say I'll be very glad to see her. She wants to see me, Arthur.
Margaret, I beg you not to. Let me see her first, at any rate. She's a very dangerous woman. She is the most dangerous woman I know. Don't.
It is right that I should see her.
Mrs. Erlyn.
How do you do, Lady Windermere? Lord Windermere, how do you do? Do you know, Lady Windermere, I am so sorry about your fan. I can't imagine how I made such a silly mistake. Most stupid of me. And as I was driving in your direction, I thought I would take the opportunity of returning your property in person with many apologies for my carelessness and of bidding you goodbye.
Goodbye? Are you going away then, Mrs. Erlyn?
Yes, I'm going to live abroad again. The English climate doesn't suit me. My heart is affected here, and that I don't like. I prefer living in the south. London is too full of fogs and serious people, Lord Windermere. Whether the fogs produce the serious people or the serious people produce the fogs, I don't know, but the whole thing rather gets on my nerves.
Shall I never see you again, Mrs. Erlyn?
No, I'm afraid not. Our lives lie too far apart. But there is a little thing I would like you to do for me. I want a photograph of you, Lady Windermere. Would you give me one? You don't.
Oh, with pleasure. There is one on the table. I'll show it to you.
Oh, it's lovely. But haven't you got one of yourself with your little boy?
Oh, I have. Would you prefer one of those?
Yes.
I'll go and get it for you. If you'll excuse me for a moment, I have one upstairs.
So sorry, Lady Windermere, to give you so much trouble.
No trouble at all, Mrs. Erlyn.
Thanks so much. You seem rather out of temper this morning, Windermere. Why should you be? Margaret and I get on charmingly together.
Can't bear to see you with her. Besides, you have not told me the truth, Mrs. Erlyn.
I have not told her the truth, you mean?
Sometimes wish you had. Should have been spared then the misery, the anxiety, the annoyance of the last 6 months. Rather that my wife should know. The mother whom she was taught to consider as dead, the mother whom she has mourned as dead, is living. Divorced woman going about under an assumed name. A bad woman preying upon life, as I know now you to be. Rather than that, I was ready to supply you with money to pay bill after bill. Extravagance after extravagance to risk what occurred yesterday. First quarrel I have ever had with my wife. And I used to think that with all your faults, you were frank and honest. You are not.
Why do you say that?
You made me get you an invitation to my wife's ball.
My daughter's ball, yes.
You have no right to claim her as your daughter. You left her, abandoned her when she was but a child of the cradle. Abandoned her for your lover who abandoned you in turn.
Do you count that to his credit, Lord Windermere, or to mine?
His, now that I know you.
Take care. You had better be careful.
Oh, I'm not going to mince words for you. I know you thoroughly.
I question that.
I do know you. For 20 years of your life, you lived without your child, with the thought of your child. One day you read in the papers she had married a rich man. You saw your hideous chance. You knew that to spare her the ignominy of learning that a woman like you was her mother, I would endure anything. You began your blackmailing.
Don't use ugly words, Windermere. They are vulgar. I saw my chance, it is true, and I
Yes, you took it and spoiled it all last night by being found out.
You are quite right. I spoilt it all last night.
It's for your blunder in taking my wife's fan from me and then leaving them out in Darlington's rooms. It is unpardonable. Can't bear the sight of it now. Should have kept it and not brought it back.
I think I shall keep it. It is extremely pretty. I shall ask Margaret to give it to me.
I wish that at the same time she would give you a miniature she kisses every night before she prays. It's the miniature of a young, innocent-looking girl with beautiful dark hair.
Ah, yes, I remember. How long ago that seems. It was done before I was married. Dark hair and an innocent expression with a fashion then, Windermere.
What do you mean by coming here this morning? What is your object?
To bid goodbye to my dear daughter, of course. I don't imagine I'm going to have a pathetic scene with her and weep on her neck and tell her who I am and all that kind of thing. I have no ambition to play the mother. Only once in my life have I known a mother's feelings. That was last night. They were terrible. They made me suffer. They made me suffer too much. For 20 years, as you say, I have lived childless. I want to live childless still. Besides, my dear Windermere, how on earth could I pose as a mother with a grown-up daughter? Margaret is 21, and I have never admitted that I am more than 29, or 30 at the most. So you see what difficulties it would involve. No, as far as I'm concerned, let your wife cherish the memory of this dead, stainless mother. Why should I interfere with her illusions? I find it hard enough to keep my own. I lost one illusion last night. I thought I had no heart. I find I have, and a heart doesn't suit me, Windermere. Somehow it doesn't go with modern dress.
You fill me with horror, with absolute horror.
I suppose, Windermere, that you would like me to retire into a convent or become a hospital nurse or something of that kind, as people do in silly modern novels. That is stupid of you. In real life, we don't do such things. Besides, if a woman really repents, she has to go to a bad dressmaker, and nothing in the world would induce me to do that. Nope, I'm going to pass entirely out of your two lives. My coming into them has been a mistake. I discovered that last night.
A fatal mistake.
Almost fatal.
I'm sorry now I did not tell my wife the whole thing at once.
I regret my bad actions. You regret your good ones. That is the difference between us.
I don't trust you. I will tell my wife.
If you do, I will make my name so infamous that it will mar every moment of her life. You shall not tell her, I forbid it.
Why?
If I told you I cared for her, loved her even, you would sneer at me, wouldn't you?
I should feel it was not true. A mother's love means devotion, unselfishness, sacrifice. What could you know of such things?
You are right. What could I know of such things? Don't let's talk about it anymore. As for telling my daughter who I am, that I do not allow. It is my secret, it is not yours. If I make up my mind to tell her, and I think I will, I shall tell her before I leave the house. If not, I shall never tell her.
Then let me beg of you to leave our house at once. I will make your excuses to Margaret.
I'm sorry, Miss Erlin, Mrs. Erlin, to have kept you waiting. I couldn't find the photograph anywhere. At last, I discovered it in my husband's dressing room. He'd stolen it.
I'm not surprised. It is charming. And so that is your little boy. What is he called?
Gerard, after my dear father.
Really?
Yes. If it had been a girl, I would have called it after my mother. My mother had the same name as myself, Margaret.
My name is Margaret too.
Indeed.
You are devoted to your mother's memory, Lady Windermere, your husband tells me.
Well, we all have ideals in life. At least we all should have. Mine is my mother.
Ideals are dangerous things. Realities are better. They wound, but they are better.
If I lost all my ideals, I should lose everything.
Everything?
Yes.
Did your father often speak to you of your mother?
No, it gave him too much pain. He told me how my mother had died a few months after I was born. His eyes filled with tears when he spoke. My father really died of a broken heart. His was the most ruined life I know.
I'm afraid I must go now, Lady Windermere.
Oh, no, don't.
I had better. My carriage must have come back by this time. I sent it to Lady Jedbra's with a note.
Arthur, will you mind seeing if Mrs. Erlin's carriage has come back?
Oh, pray don't trouble Lord Windermere.
Yes, Arthur, do go, please. Oh, what am I to say to you? You saved me last night.
Don't speak of it.
I must speak of it. I can't let you think that I am going to accept this sacrifice. I am not. It is too great. I am going to tell my husband everything. It is my duty.
It is not your duty. At least you have duties to others besides him. You say you owe me something?
I owe you everything.
Then pay your debt by silence. That is the only way it can be paid. Don't spoil the one good thing I have done in my life by telling it to anyone. Pledge me your word, Lady Windermere, that you will never tell him. I insist upon it.
It is your will, not mine.
Yes, it is my will. And never forget your child. I like to think of you as a mother. I like you to think of yourself as one.
I always will now. Only once in my life have I forgotten my own mother. That was last night. Oh, if I had remembered her, I should not have been so foolish, so wicked.
Hush, last night is quite over.
Your carriage has not come back yet, Mrs. Erlin.
It makes no matter. I'll take a hansom cab. And now, dear Lady Windermere, I'm afraid it really is goodbye. Oh, I remember. You'll think me absurd, but do you know, I've taken a great fancy to this fan that I was silly enough to run away with last night from your ball. Now, I wonder, would you give it to me? Lord Windermere says you may. I know it is his present.
Oh, certainly. If it will give you any pleasure, but it has my name on it. It has Margaret on it.
But we have the same Christian name.
Oh, I forget. Of course. Do have it. What a wonderful chance our names being the same.
Quite wonderful. Thanks. It will always remind me of you.
Lord Augustus Lawton, Mrs. Erlin's carriage has come.
Good morning, dear boy. Good morning, Lady Windermere and Mrs. Erlin.
How do you do, Lord Augustus? Are you quite well this morning?
Quite well, thank you, Mrs. Erlin.
You don't look at all well, Lord Augustus. You stop up too late. It is so bad for you. You really should take more care of yourself. Goodbye, Lord Windermere. Lord Augustus, won't you see me to my carriage? You might carry the fan.
Allow me.
No, I want Lord Augustus. I have a special message for the dear Duchess. Won't you carry the fan, Lord Augustus?
If you really desire it, Mrs. Erlin.
Of course I do. You would carry it so beautifully. You would carry off anything beautifully.
You'll never speak against Mrs. Erlin again, Arthur, will you?
She is better than one thought her.
She is better than I am.
Child, you and she belong to different worlds. Into your world, evil has never entered.
Don't say that, Arthur. There is the same world for all of us, and good and evil, sin and innocence go through it hand in hand. To shut one's eyes to half of life that one may live securely is as though one blinded oneself that one might walk with more safety in a land of pit and precipice.
Darling, why do you say that?
Because I, who had shut my eyes to life, came to the brink. And one who had separated us.
We were never separated.
We never must be again. Oh, Arthur, don't love me less and I will trust you more. I will trust you absolutely.
Arthur, she's explained everything. My dear fellow, she's explained every damned thing. We all wronged her immensely. It was entirely for my sake she went to Darlington's rooms, called first at the club. The fact is, wanted to put me out of suspense. And being told I'd gone on, followed. Naturally frightened when she heard a lot of us coming in, retired to another room. I assure you, most gratifying to me, the whole thing. We all behaved brutally to her. She's just the woman for me, suits me down to the ground. All the conditions she makes are that we live entirely out of England. Very good thing too. Damned clubs, damned climate, damned cooks, damned everything. Sick of it all.
Has Mrs. Erlin...
Yes, Lady Windermere. Mrs. Erlin has done me the honor of accepting my hand.
Well, you are certainly marrying a very clever woman.
You're marrying a very good woman.
In Lady Windermere's Fan by Oscar Wilde, the part of Lady Windermere was played by Dre Weeks, Mrs. Erlin by Kelly Newman O'Connor, Lord Windermere by Michael Novello, Lord Darlington by Keith Anderson, the Duchess of Berwick by Cassie Gabriel, Lord Augustus Lorton by John O'Connor, Mr. Cecil Graham by Sam Felsenthal, Mr. Dumby by Kit Newman, Mr. Hopper by Mark Rayner, Parker by Mark Jefferson, Lady Plymdale by Liz Porter, Lady Agatha by Maddie Sperber-White, Lady Jedburgh by Celeste Weiser, Lord Jedburgh by Robert Weiser, Mrs. Cooper and Rosalie by Grace Sperber-White, and Lady Stutfield by Kathy Minton. If you enjoyed the show and would like to see more theater group readings, please consider making a donation in whatever amount at our website, luminastudio.org. We certainly appreciate all that you can do to support the treasure of live theater. We've thoroughly enjoyed performing for you tonight. Thank you, and a good evening to you all.